Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We gotta talk Destiny, which is, I mean, I've pumped out 15 Remnant 2 videos in the last week and a half. I'm gonna be going hard with that on my variety channel. So thanks to those of you who tune into that and support that channel. It's been really fun to see. That's been growing like wildfire over the last week and a half as we hit the algorithm just right. So that's been really fun. But back to Destiny news. So we got a big state of the game today. Big state of the game today, courtesy of Joe. So we're gonna dive into that, and I'm only gonna talk PvP stuff. So this isn't like a full breakdown of this article. We're gonna hone in specifically on the thing that matters most to me, and I think to a lot of the people in the community that are regulars around here. That's the PvP stuff. So let's jump into that real quick. So I really wanted to be overwhelmed, but I found myself being whelmed. I am whelmed by this article. So it really didn't tell us anything we didn't already know. Okay, it really didn't. So I mean, there's a little bit of new information here, but for the most part, this is pretty whelming to me. Let's go right down the list. Some basic quality of life improvements. In season 22, when it drops, we're going to get a new ritual weapon for Crucible and for the others. But we'll get a new one for Crucible. It's going to be an SMG, a stasis SMG called Unending Tempest. Sounds pretty cool. We're coming out of some heckin' SMG heavy metas, so I don't know. I was kind of hoping for something different, but we get another SMG. We already had Out of Bounds, which is great. Don't get me wrong, but we get another SMG. It's going to be focusable right off the bat. Okay, so in seasons past, we haven't been able to focus the current ritual weapon until the following season. They're going to do away with that. You can focus it right off the bat. We're also getting a new grenade launcher in Trials of Osiris called the Cataphract, which is a strand GL. I don't see that making... I mean, GLs are like the most popular heavy weapon to be used in PvP right now. So I think people will want, that, but we already have some really great GLs out there. So I don't know that the appeal of this is going to be like too big, but, people will want to get it, and that's great. I think the Igneous Hammer is probably going to generate more hype on the weekends that it's available, but we'll see. Then they get into the maps discussion, and they lead with what we've heard many, many times. Making maps is hard, right? We hear that a lot. Making maps is hard. It's a real challenge. When we focus on making maps, it takes people off of other teams, and they can't make cool things for our PvE community that wants things like exotic missions and stuff like that. We can't do that when we have people dedicated to making PvP maps. Man, I don't know. I really just don't know, because we've had this discussion so many times. But when it really boils down to it, we were getting secret exotic missions alongside 3 to 5 PvP maps in a new content drop in history, like in the past. So what was different then? Like, what was different back then as opposed to right now? You know what I mean? I would, not being critical, I would just genuinely love to know. Why is it that it used to be we could get all that cool PvE content that was new, that was fresh, that was exciting, that was innovative, alongside a whole slew of new PvP maps to play in that were current with current new environments. But we don't get that anymore. So I'm just not sure about that. The whole making maps is hard thing, it's like we've heard them say that so many times, but it just doesn't line up with the history of Destiny going all the way back to Destiny 1, when tons of new maps would come out with each major expansion. 3 new maps, 5 new maps, sometimes 7 new maps, and PvE content did not suffer for it. All right, it didn't take a back seat. It's not like they had to sideline PvE development in order to deliver those maps to us. So I just don't know how that works. It just doesn't seem to match up to me. So I'm confused by that. And they did highlight the new map that's going to be coming out. And don't get me wrong, I think it looks cool. I have no idea how it's going to play, right? No idea how it's going to play. Disjunction was the last brand new map we got, and that was a nightmare. It was an absolute disaster of a map. Community reception to that map has been very bad. There are some niche people who really like that map, and that's great, but they are in a dramatic minority. So I don't know how this map is going to play, but I do think visually it's an exciting space. So they're going to be mashing up the Vex Network palette with the Mars palette. So they're going to merge those two. So I think the idea narratively is that this is the Vex Network is in the middle of doing a simulation, and that's why the worlds are sort of blending in that capacity. So that can be fun to play with. It says it's an asymmetrical map. I tend to enjoy asymmetrical maps. The most boring maps in the game to me are the perfectly symmetrical ones, right? Like Disjunction. Well, more or less symmetrical. Pantheon, Wormhaven. I don't really care for Wormhaven. Perfectly symmetrical, deep spawns, and so spawn flips happen often. I just don't care for it. So asymmetrical, that has me kind of excited. I'm excited to see how this map plays for sure. But I do notice that outside of mentioning that Citadel is still slated to come, I think, in Season 23, outside of mentioning that, there is no promise. There's nothing in here. They said, we're going to address the feedback about maps. And there is no addressing it other than excusing what happened, or hasn't happened, rather. But there's no promise about how things might change moving forward at all. And so this was, to me, very concerning. It was very concerning to me that we know nothing about if this is going to be a trend, if we're going to continue to get new maps over time, or if this is an anomaly, right? I'm almost leaning towards the side of the fence that says getting this new map is an anomaly. This isn't something we should expect to happen, because they did not make any promises about any future map development. Not a single, we have another new map in the works. There's not that anywhere, right? All we got was an excuse for what hasn't happened, but no promises about the future. Only what we already knew about this Vex map. That to me is a big red flag waving around. So I was not super thrilled. In fact, I literally said, to set expectations regarding new maps, our studio structure is built to support more overarching updates to PvP, like sandbox updates, rather than focusing on maps. That sounds rather foreboding to me. This is a big red flag, because if they have nothing to talk about right here in this big State of the Game article about future PvP maps, it is my assumption that they are not happening. Until they say otherwise, development takes a long time. And if what they're telling us is we're not really geared up to make maps, we have one coming, but we're really not geared up to do that, what that tells me is that we should not expect new maps for, I don't know, at all in the future. I have no idea. So they go on to say that we're going to get more information about sandbox updates in the Crucible. I think next week or something, sometime soon, just not today. Then we have two new modes. We have Checkmate, which seems to be focused on gunplay specifically, really honing in on primary gunplay. So Guardians have extra health. It's sort of like the opposite of momentum control, where Guardians have extra health and you don't have green ammo. It has to be earned on the battlefield is what it says, and you don't drop it when you die if you have it. So green ammo is going to be very limited. There's going to be lots of primary gunplay. They said long-range weapons like heavy pulse rifles, scout rifles will not do as much damage. So I don't know. This could play really methodical, really slow. This isn't something. It doesn't sound like at least you're going to be dropping 40 bombs and 50 bombs in. So more slow, methodical, competitive. Then we have Relic, which is a party mode, new party mode. This one kind of sounds a little fun. It literally is using relics in PvP. So like the Aegis from the Vault of Glass, Synaptic Spear, the Scythe from Season of the Haunted. Those really cool big relic weapons that we've grown to really enjoy using in PvE. Now we get to use them against Guardians. That could be kind of funny. They go on to talk about matchmaking, and they are quadrupling down on skill-based matchmaking and trying to basically make things a little bit better. We don't know how, but they're going to try and mitigate the connection issues that people on either end of the spectrum are having, whether you are extremely bad at the game or extremely good at the game. Your connection quality dips, the quality of your matches dips, the number of people that even make it into your match takes a hit. So the important thing here is that this is an indirect acknowledgement that the system is not working properly for those people, but it's also a very vague promise that they're going to try and help mitigate it. We don't know how. They're just saying we're going to try and help mitigate it. Additionally, they talk about lobby balancing. Again, we have no idea. This is a very vague promise. They're just saying we're working on it. We're going to be tackling lobby balancing, which is, again, an indirect acknowledgement that lobby balancing is not doing its job properly right now, and they need to fix it. So we don't know how, but they're going to try. And next we've got promises about the future. So this is not next season, season 22. This is a season after that, season 23. So a new Iron Banner mode, which I'm like, bro. I I mean, I'm all for new stuff. Don't get me wrong. I think new stuff is cool, but we've had so many new modes. New mode, new mode, new mode, new mode. In Iron Banner, the Fortress, and all these different modes, Eruption, etc. We've got Relic coming. We've got this other sort of hardcore mode coming. And now we get another new mode in Iron Banner. It's like, I mean, I appreciate the innovation, don't get me wrong, but I feel like I wish we could just focus our efforts elsewhere. I feel like we already have a good repertoire of decent game modes in Destiny. I mean, most games out there that are successful in the PvP region aren't like constantly changing how you play the game. I mean, usually they stay pretty tried and true to what that game is. This is the kind of PvP modes that we do. What they do is they enhance the spaces we play on and the weapons that we are using and the gear that we're using and the builds that we're using. That's where they focus on. I don't know. I feel like the focus is maybe not where I would prefer it to be, but I'm just one person. I don't presume to speak for you. That's just my opinion. They're talking about a new comp reward, which is aggressive Haka pulse rifle strand. That sounds cool. I mean, I love hard hitting pulse rifles, so that sounds cool to me. I'll definitely want to get my hands on a good one of those. But that's, again, Season 23. So they didn't mention anywhere here about a new weapon for comp unless I missed it somewhere, but I didn't see a mention of a new comp weapon next season, right? We had the Rose, and then we had the Mercurial, but it doesn't sound like we're going to get anything next season unless there's just an omission or maybe I overlooked it. Citadel, the map Citadel will be coming back, which is somewhat controversial. A lot of people didn't care for how that map played. I thought it was beautiful, so I'm not necessarily personally opposed to Citadel coming back. I think it's a gorgeous environment, and I think there are definitely parts of that map that are huge, rather expansive, that never got used, never got a lot of game time, never got seen. So hopefully they can find a way to refocus the way that map flows, because there is a lot of space there that just was a little neglected. And then finally they talk about new ritual armor sets, because that's been a bit of feedback. They're like, we've heard people saying hey, why'd you stop doing ritual armor sets? And they're like, well, people didn't use them. They didn't really use them that much, so we stopped making them. And I'm like, well, I mean, they kind of sucked. They just seemed like they were really uninspired sets. I think that's why people didn't use them. But they said in the final shape, they will look to bring us a new ritual armor set. So if the set is good, I think people will use it. But I mean, you compare the ritual sets next to things in Eververse compared to the ornament sets for the season pass. The things people pay for look banger, but the things that are part of the free-to-play experience, they tend to look pretty uninspired. The Cinder Pinion set, for example. You just kind of look at that and you're like, nah. But anyways, that's my 2 cents. Okay, I read this article, and I really wanted to come in this article and just be floored. I wanted to be excited. And I don't feel that way. I really don't. I got to be honest. I just don't feel that way. I feel very whelmed. No promises about maps. Not a single new map in development has been talked about. So all we have to go on right now is this multiplex map, which I have high hopes for. I think it visually is going to be pretty cool at the very least. So I'm hopeful, but I'm going to try to curb my enthusiasm and keep my expectations in check, because this might be the last new map that we get in the Destiny experience indefinitely. I don't know. I was kind of hoping to see more here that would get PvP players excited. What did you guys think reading this? How did you feel about it? Hey, let me know in the comment section below. Hey, thanks for tuning into the video. Feel free to leave a like if you enjoyed it. Let me know what your feedback is about this whole state of the game and how it makes you feel as a PvP player, or otherwise, if you're a Gambit player and you're excited, or a PvE player and you're excited. Maybe you're all 3 of those things wrapped into one. How are you feeling about this? Hey, thank you so much, everybody who's been supporting my content, especially on my variety channel. We've been pumping out content over there, and that's been a lot of fun to see that channel start to grow. So thanks so much for your support and your love. I really appreciate each and every one of you. Hey, have a wonderful day. Be warm and well fed, my friends. Hope to catch you in the next video. Bye-bye.